Welcome back to Beer Fueled Fantasy Football. It was a weird week 5. Hope you guys made it through okay. I know some of you guys are needing some Monday Night Miracles. I need about 10 of them myself.
All the miracles. All of them.
All right, we are Beer Fueled Fantasy Football. As always, I am Nick Sparts. Joined across the table from me is Dan Thury.
At Thury BFF, what's up, guys?
And to my right is Christopher Hopper.
Hot BFF with 2 Ps. How are we all doing today?
All right, hope everyone's doing well. If you're jumping onto the live stream with us, I hope to see you in the YouTube chat. Either Dan or Hopper will let me know when one of you guys asks a question so we can go ahead and try to get that answered in between a segment. If you want to follow the show on Twitter, check us out there at BeerFueledFF. That's also where you can find us on Untapped and Instagram if you want to get our beer reviews and can art pictures. Beer Fueled Fantasy Football, if you do want to jump on the live streams, remember we do these Monday, Wednesday, Friday at about the same time every single day, about 5:45 p.m. Central Time.
Just depends.
And then also we go live Sunday mornings about 10:30 in the morning Central Time to answer your start-sit questions, let you know any inactives, any news that broke overnight, just get you guys ready for the week.
Hey, we got a programming note for you, by the way. We will be Thursday this week.
Yep.
Yes.
Probably this is going to suck, but we are going to go Thursday this week due to more important conflicts.
Yeah, I'm moving. I'm not available on Friday. I don't have internet to remote in like I'll be doing from now on until Saturday. So we want to get you the info before that.
So rescheduling note / last time Hopper's with us spectacular.
Well, with you in person. I'll still be with you guys talking and you'll hear my voice and stuff and even see me on webcam.
If you can, to help drive content to the YouTube channel, please like our videos, comment your fantasy questions there. I'll do my best to answer all of them. If you haven't yet, drop a review on iTunes. That helps boost the visibility of the pod there. And if you want to help us out even more and help cover beer, production costs, anything like that, there's 3 ways you can do that. 1, and we've gotten a couple people offer to do this now, and we got some more packages in the mail. Just send us beer. If you got beer from different...
We got more?
We got more on the way.
Hell yeah.
Sweet.
Thank you, guys.
If you guys have beer that we can't get, and you're like, hey, this beer brewery is awesome, I want you guys to review them on air, send it to us, because we don't travel enough to go get stuff from East Coast, West Coast, way down south. If you're in a different country and really want to pay that type of extreme postage, do that as well. We'll review anything that's sent to us.
And risk customs.
Yes. Second thing, pick up some of the merchandise we've got. Dan's rocking the hat right now. Beer Fueled Fantasy hats.
I'm not rocking it. I'm not rocking the shirt.
In addition, we have shirts available for you guys as well. DM BeerFueledFF or email beerfueledfantasy@gmail.com if you were interested in any merchandise. Or if you'd just rather just support us on Patreon, hit me up and I'll get you a link through there as well. But before we recap all these games here, we got a beer preview to hit and some news.
Beer Fuel.
And it's October, so we're just going to keep the pumpkin train rolling here. We've got Epic's Imperial Pumpkin Porter on. It is a bomber. Unfortunately, only 2 of us are drinking right now. I feel like complete shit right now, and thought of drinking beer makes me nauseated, which is a terrible feeling. It's like a double whammy.
R.I.P. Nick.
Nick is doubtful.
I'm doubtful.
He's doubtful.
I'm going to try to play through the pain.
It's sad that Nick can't drink this wonderful pumpkin beer from Epic Brewing.
It is.
Okay,
very sad.
That's enough.
Thankfully, I'm not missing our first time having Epic. This is their 4th time on the show. Last time was episode 114, Rookie Quarterbacks Part 2 in the spring.
It feels like not that long ago, but that was so long ago.
I know. That's what I said.
Yep. Imperial Pumpkin Porter is part of their Exponential series, as per their website. Beer explodes with an aroma of sweet spices, giving way to chocolate and roasted malt. You guys will have to let me know how much that matches up to their description. It's 8% ABV. So, full review for that coming once we get through the noon games on the recap. But first, we do have a couple pieces of news for you guys.
News.
NFL.com's Ian Rappaport reports Leonard Fournette, with his hamstring injury, is expected to remain sidelined for Week 6 against the Cowboys. With how quickly he was ruled out here, basically, he could miss Week 7 as well. No more Corey Grant. So at this point, it is the TJ Yeldon show.
When is their bye week offhand? You guys know?
Early November, I believe. I have it in the notes here for the Jaguars game.
Early November.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else on the Fournette injury?
No.
Love Yeldon going forward.
It's the TJ Yeldon show, and Brandon Wilds will have a complimentary role because that's the point we're at. But he's the only other body that's there right now.
Yep, they'll probably sign somebody else. So CJ Spiller, because he's always the one that people seem to go to when they need to sign a body.
Yeah, DeMarco Murray's out there, but I don't see them doing that.
No, not when they have Fournette coming back.
Not when
eventually.
Fournette's going to come back.
If Fournette went to IR, maybe.
Jonathan Williams.
Yeah.
It's a possibility.
There's a bunch of names.
There's things.
We saw
Or
Yeldon.
Darkwa.
With the MCL sprain, really happy I took Hyde for Breida. Yeah, I would be too. And Richard went undefeated. So that's
Nice.
good. Off
Congrats.
some advice, so congrats.
This was a weird week, too, so congrats on that one.
All the good
Yeah, well done.
Cardinals signed wide receiver Kendall Wright, formerly of the Vikings and Bears. And I believe the Titans before that.
Who
Yes.
signed him?
Cardinals.
Oh, yes.
Because they need more slot receivers.
Yeah, I guess. I see what you did there.
It can't be much worse.
I guess I don't know why you go out and sign him though without an injury, unless you just think your wide receiver. He's good enough to play. He showed that last year. I mean, he was fantasy viable a couple weeks, so it's interesting.
It is. Maybe it says about if they're concerned
It
about
might be about
Fitz,
Fitz.
because Fitz has been banged up for a couple weeks now.
It doesn't really matter because his passing game is fucking terrible. Right
Although
now.
it is weird to me that they would sign another slot receiver though,
That's true.
unless they plan on running Kirk outside.
All right. Speaking Monday, Greg Olson with his foot injury confirmed he is expected to return week 6, but he expects to require surgery at season end. So it's going to be can the foot hold up all year? So this is going to be dicey
He's gonna
every
be
week.
He's gonna be as soon as he shows any signs of like nagginess and like in any of these games, he's probably gonna get pulled.
Yeah, this is a
I
situation.
don't like this at all.
Yeah, this is a situation where just because he comes back next week, you need to be conservative with him. Tight ends are a mess. It's going to be really tempting, but you don't know if he's going to be pitch counted. You don't know how much the foot's going to affect him always playing. If he's going to go out there and decide that he can't do it, so you need to see it before you do anything with it.
Hopefully you've gotten someone like you've grabbed Brait while he was on his bye here. You've got Kittle. You've got Njoku, somebody who you can trust to roll out there and wait to see that Olsen's going to be okay. But I can see a lot of teams out there are going to be like, I got Greg Olsen and nothing else, and they're going to have to start him.
Well, yeah. Fun.
And then just because he's a kind of a show favorite, Broncos released punter Marquette King with an injury settlement.
Yeah, he has a groin thing, I think, or thigh, or some part of the leg which you need to punt. Also, there was news earlier today, I don't know if you saw it or not, that Evan Ingram could be back on Thursday Night Football.
Yep,
Yes.
and I will update that more once we get to Wednesday practices, but he is possibly going to be back. I wanted to get more of a likely.
The Olsen thing just kind of cued that for me because I have both of them on one of my dynasty teams, and it's been a rough go.
Yikes.
Yeah.
All right, that's all I got for news. We'll cover the more immediate injuries once we get down into the injury segment, but before that, we got to recap all 13 games.
What the hell
Cheers.
happened?
feel like I need to put you in a trench coat so you can do that and look like Silent Bob.
That's
All right, we got to
Love.
recap the Week 5 games here. Starting with the noon games, we got Titans versus the Bills first. Absolute show stunner here. Bills win this one 13-12.
By the way, I have 0 recaps after the beer review.
Yeah, because your other one's Monday night.
Yep.
So you can basically zone out for about 20 minutes there.
I usually do.
Perfect.
All right, Dan, what do you got on this
Oh,
game?
we'll struggle fuck through this like Mariota did.
Yeah.
14 of 26, 129, no touchdowns, no picks. It looks like I think the Titans are okay with letting this running game control this, which means I don't like Mariota in matchups that really don't see the game script going into a lot of throwing, like you saw last week against Philadelphia. They don't mind, letting them throw the ball 20 to 25 times and let the running game do the talk game.
Their defense is good too. This is like slightly better Dallas. Honestly,
Is it slightly better, Dallas?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
Yeah, it is.
there's a fantasy relevant wide receiver and 2 fantasy.
It's like
relevant
1.5.
running backs. Yeah, so it's a little bit better than what Dallas is, but it's the same type of script that you're going to see from them. They're going to try to win with defense in the running game, it looks like, and then they're just going to pepper Corey Davis.
Yeah.
Yep. So look for games where it's a high over-under. You expect Tennessee to possibly be down. That's where you're going to want to target Mariota, it looks like.
Speaking of this running game, as a total, they went 23 for 90 yards. Henry finally looked efficient. Still doesn't get enough work. He actually lost the touch count to Lewis. Lewis didn't look great from an efficiency standpoint, but he gets all the pass catching work. And that's kind of just where we're at with this point. I'm still not starting Henry. I wouldn't even be rostering him, but with Lewis's injury history, maybe you want to hold on to him. But he should not be starting. As for Lewis, I think mid flex play. I think once Mariota gets completely healthy, you may be able to see better games from him in the future. And that's just for PPR leagues. As for this passing game, because there was no attempts used, wasn't a lot to go around. Davis led the team in targets, receptions, and yards. Finished 4 for 49 on 6 targets. He's the only one probably worth starting and probably rostering. I like Taywan Taylor, but him and Tajay Sharp are really eating into each other's work as they feature more Sharp in this offense.
When they throw for like 150-ish yards, there's just not enough volume to go around.
Yeah, and then the defense. Speaking of the defense, they get the Ravens and Chargers. 2 matchups I don't particularly like.
Ravens is
very like fringe because you can see them put up a bunch of points, but it's also Joe Flacco.
I mean, the Browns just made them look pedestrian, and the Titans' defense is about on that same plane.
Yeah. So Ravens maybe
the
Chargers
week right after
no.
they gave the Jets or the Raiders was it like 40-something points. So
yeah, I have no idea what the Browns are up to.
But either way. And then as for any more notes, any more comments on the Titans?
This was ugly.
Ugly. As for Bills, Josh Allen has more rushing touchdowns than passing touchdowns. That's pretty much all that said. He finished 10 for 19, 82 yards, no touchdowns, 1 pick. He's pretty garbage. LaShawn McCoy finally got it going this week. 26 total touches, 108 total yards. 20 of those touches were carries, so it looks like they're more than happy letting McCoy take this full workload. And with 81 total passing yards being thrown out, no receiver or tight end stood out, and none should be on your roster. Anything on the Bills?
No, I'm just glad to see McCoy finally do something. That's all I really care about.
That's the big takeaway from this is that it looks like even with...
And this was a bad matchup, too, so the fact they did anything was awesome.
Yeah, even with Ivor getting 15, I think he has 17 touches, McCoy still looked really good.
All right, that's all you got?
That's it.
On to the Broncos at the Jets, where the Jets absolutely blew out the Broncos in this one with the deep game. Jets win 34-16. Keenum could not get it together in this one.
Yeah, he ended up with an okay fantasy day, but it was a very garbage time-aided game. It was 35-51, 377, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. But about 80 of those yards and that second touchdown did come in garbage time. And he threw his first touchdown pass in 3 weeks. So not a whole lot to be inspired by there.
No, offense does not look good.
Speaking of not inspiring, Phillip Lindsay and Royce Freeman both were efficient. However, they still were pretty split. Lindsay had 15 touches to Freeman's 8. They're still weekly flex considerations, but nobody's getting all of the work. It's kind of a hot hand approach. Lindsay had 90 total yards to Freeman's 55, but they were the overall picture on both of them was efficient.
Thanks, fans Joseph, for lying to us, saying that we need to get Royce Freeman more touches.
Yeah, that wasn't true.
Yeah,
he actually got less touches.
I know.
Demaryius Thomas bounced back. He was 5 for 8 for 105 and a touchdown. Sanders had 14 targets for 9 receptions, 72 yards. Demaryius Thomas has not had more than 8 targets since week 2. So is that matchup dependent? Is that concerning? Is that this is a bounce back and you're good? Start him again.
7 to 8 targets puts him per game. Puts him in that high 90-ish to low hundreds. I'm okay with that, but. I mean, you're obviously hoping for more.
I mentioned this last week, just with the passing offense being really gross. And, since week 1.
It's not been good.
Yeah, it's not like the Jets are a burner of an offense and defense, too.
They're better than we thought.
They're better, yeah, I'm not saying that they're not.
They're also down their top corner.
That, too.
So, it was just food for thought, whereas you got Sanders who's in the 14 target range. I mean, Thomas looks to be clearly the 2 here.
Agreed.
So
I mean, I've had Sanders ranked above Thomas for like 3 straight weeks.
I wouldn't be shocked if the Broncos keep losing that we could see a quarterback change.
I hope.
I honestly will not be. I wouldn't be surprised if it happened.
Partying in the streets. As for the tight ends, Jeff Hireman, he led tight ends with 4 targets. He got 2 for 18 yards. So he's still the tight end, the only tight end standing there. But because Fumagalli is not a thing. Anything else on the Broncos?
Nope.
Oh, the defense is worse than we thought they were.
Yep, drop them.
As for the Jets, Darnold was an efficient 10 for 22 for 198 yards, about 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. He had some major help from Robbie Anderson in this and some major help from the defense, though.
Yeah, the yards per attempt is good. The 10 for 22, not so much.
A lot of big plays.
No, the efficiency wasn't good as far as completion percentage goes. It was a lot of big plays, and really the game script he didn't have to do a lot. And the other reason he didn't have to do a lot, both running backs absolutely gashed Denver. Powell was 20 for 99. Crowell was 15 for 219 and a touchdown.
Set the Jets record.
Every time on my bench, he blows up.
Yep.
Fucking guy.
Yep. Odd weeks.
Only one target went to a running back. I really think this is more of a sign of a weak Denver run defense than a breakout for either Crowell or Powell. I think that they're still what we've seen them to be over the first 4 weeks, but Denver right now is 30th in yards per attempt and yards allowed, and 28th in overall rushing touchdowns.
Yeah, they're in a struggle fuck for themselves right now.
Yeah.
It's not good for them.
But matchup dependency, make note of that.
Mm-hmm.
Robbie Anderson broke a 76-yard touchdown. He finished 3 receptions on 5 targets for 123 yards, 2 touchdowns. This is more about Denver being weak against wide receiver 2s and 3s and okay against wide receiver 1s than it is about Robbie Anderson breaking out. You've seen this in previous weeks too with them.
Just not enough volume too to go around.
I was excited to see him at about a 20% target share. That's good, but obviously we need him throwing more than 22 fucking times.
Yeah, 20% of 5. Yeah, 20% of 5. 20% of 22 is not too exciting for me. Anunwa had 5 targets. He caught none of them. And then Leggett had the lone tight end target.
Anunwa will bounce back. I'm not worried about him.
Yeah.
Leggett is strictly in the how desperate do you got to be mode.
Yep. And then the Jets defense, they remain a streaming candidate week to week.
All right. Next, Giants at the Panthers. We finally get some more scoring in this one. Panthers win on a 63-yard last-second field goal to win 33-31. Starting with the Giants, though, Eli was very erratic. 22 of 36 for 326, 2 and 2. Most of his fantasy production came late in the second half. Giants rallied to try to win this game and make it close. But overall, he's been pretty disappointing through 5 weeks. I'm only considering starting him in really excellent matchups. On the 2 that are upcoming here, he's at the Falcons in Week 7, and he's home versus the Buccaneers in Week 11. That's going to be about it for Eli Manning in one quarterback leagues. Barkley, he's fine. He didn't get it going on the ground this week. He was at 3.2 yards a carry, 15 for 48 total. And he had one 30-yard run. That was the majority of that production. He was getting hit in the backfield almost every single carry. But he crushed the Panthers through the air, though. Caught all 4 targets for 81 yards and 2 touchdowns. One of them from Odell for extra fun.
Any news on his injury?
He is fine.
He's fine.
Okay.
He just
I didn't see
tweaked
anything.
something.
Apparently, he was dancing on the sidelines within like 10 minutes of that shot of him.
Josh Doxson's inactive tonight.
He had a foot thing, so that's not too surprising.
Okay.
More Paul Richardson.
If any of you guys were starting Josh Doxson, I'm real sorry.
More Paul Richardson, though.
And this was Odell's get-right game. He had 14 targets, more than double anyone else. Caught 8 for 131 and a touchdown. He also threw a 57-yard touchdown to Barkley for good measure. So all the concerns about Odell were vastly overrated.
Yeah.
I mean, not as a locker room presence. I got some serious questions as a fantasy player.
I have some serious questions about this offense again.
Yeah,
because guess what? They're still the Giants every year. Hey, this offense looks really good. They're really underwhelming.
Eli, it's Eli.
It's Eli.
Are we going to see Kyle Uletta or Davis Webb before the season?
Davis Webb's not on the team, so that would be tough.
Okay, good.
It'd be Kyle Uletta.
And that's not an upgrade.
No, I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying, could we see it?
Just to be candid, that's not an upgrade.
So, Shepard was a little disappointing. I kind of put a bunch of chips on him blowing up this week as running on the wide receiver 2 spot. Had 7 targets, caught 4 for 75. So it wasn't a bad game. He didn't kill you, but you were hoping for more.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't the worst, though. I mean, you're not... I don't want to say you're disappointed with starting him with that. You're just not happy about it.
Yeah, you're not clicking your
You're
heels.
lukewarm.
It's just whatever.
No one else saw over 4 targets, so...
In a points per beating trash cans league, though. He's doing well for
All
it.
the bonus
101.
All the bonus points for trash can hits.
On the Panthers side, Cam was actually pretty quiet in this one. 21 of 35, 237, 2 and 2. Another 29 yards on the ground. Overall, just a lot of the scoring came on really short fields for them, so he just didn't have to put up a lot of gaudy stats in this one. And his schedule is a bit rough to finish October. He goes at the Redskins, at the Eagles versus the Ravens, with the Eagles looking like the only somewhat okay matchup.
And that's on the road still.
And that is still on the road. McCaffrey wasn't overly efficient in this one either. He's 17 of 58 on the ground, which is a 3.4 yards a clip. 5 for 35 on 6 targets through the air. So if he hadn't gotten his first touchdown of the season, this would have been a rough game for him. He's still running back 1 every week, but you got some questions about how much he's going to boom with the low touchdown rate he's had this year. He's probably going to be consistently a back-end running back 1.
So he's going to finish where he was last year.
Yep. And
Which I'm fine with.
I mean, if you
drafted
as
him
long
to
as
be
you didn't
that way,
draft him as
too.
the back end of the first, like some people did right before the season started, you're fine.
Yeah.
It's kind of a floor game for him, though. He didn't get peppered in any aspect like he normally does.
Yep. No one saw more than 7 targets in this one. That was Funchess who saw that. He finished 453-0. That's your normal Funchess day where he doesn't score a touchdown.
Pretty much.
Ian Thomas, Jarius Wright both had 6 for less than 40 yards. Neither one of those guys seems startable, and DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel had 4 each. Basically, at this point, outside of Funchess and Olsen when he's back, I'm not starting any of the outside pass catchers.
So did Ian Thomas happen to have 5 targets, catch 3 of them, and go for 30 yards?
He had, I believe, 3 catches for 36 yards, if I remember correctly.
Tight end standard.
Right until Greg Olsen comes back.
All right.
Fuck everything up.
And that's all I got on that game. Both defenses were okay, but not what you were hoping, especially considering the Panthers had a defensive touchdown. Next, we got Packers at the Lions. Lions get up early in this one, hold on to win 31-23.
Yeah, this game script is going to be a theme throughout this. So starting with Rodgers, game script went weird in this one. He had to throw the ball 52 times, completed 32 of them, 442 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. You see that stat line, you'd think the Packers are up front by a mile, but he fumbled twice. His numbers were inflated because they were playing from behind the entire time. So it was really, I don't want to say garbage time Aaron Rodgers, but it was comeback mode Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, he was playing hero ball the entire
I don't think he has a
half.
comeback,
He was.
or I don't think he has a garbage time Rodgers because
No, he
always
doesn't.
gives him a chance.
He doesn't go to garbage time. He goes into comeback
Yeah,
mode.
he's insane.
Comeback mode Rodgers is garbage time everybody else.
Pretty much.
As far as the backfield goes, because of the game script, nobody had more than 10 touches. Aaron Jones led in scrimmage yards with another efficient day, but he had 9 touches. Williams 8, Ty Montgomery 5. This backfield going forward, I don't love it.
If I already didn't feel like throwing up, this would get me there.
Fucking Mike McCarthy. Jesus Christ, you're gonna.
I don't.
It's so easy for you to decide. How can you fuck this up?
Well, his thing is constantly on like, oh, he's not as good of a pass protector and shit like that. It's like, you know what?
Pick up the running backs in twice this game to pass protect.
At a certain point, you gotta get your guy out there who can chunk yards out.
Yeah, and you're not doing that, so
Especially, they're missing 2 of their 3 starting wide receivers.
yeah. Unfortunately, he's flex worthy in deeper leagues right now because
Jones?
he's not getting he's not getting more than 10 or 11 touches, and until he starts getting up into the 15 touch range, you're not really comfortable running him out there as a running back 2 or an every week starter.
He's just like Kerryon Johnson, where
Yeah.
he's clearly the better of the 3 running backs in his backfield, but because the head coach is stubborn and a dick, he doesn't give him the more of the work.
That's exactly what it is.
There seem to be some coaches who just love these role-based running backs, and it just makes it a nightmare.
I want to keep them fresh.
Yeah, that scenario too.
Hopefully, eventually, it'll start to give. For the wide receivers, Devontae Adams showed you why he's just kind of insulated in every week start. 9 receptions on 12 targets, 140 and a touchdown with a huge day.
Apologies on him.
Yeah. Well, just to be clear, there was 1 of 3 of us that was saying
No,
bench him.
I am personally apologizing
Yeah.
for throwing him any shade whatsoever.
ESB and MVS also both had good days. ESB 5 targets, 3 receptions, 89 yards though. So you're happy with that if you started him. But Valdez-Scantling pretty much established himself as the 4. If Allison misses more time, if Cobb misses more time, that makes himself almost startable to me. He had 7 receptions on 10 targets, 68 yards and a touchdown. Thoughts on ESB and MVS?
I like them if they can keep playing from behind. Rodgers doesn't like to throw the ball 52 times in a game. I think most games you'll see him in the 30 to 26 or 32, which is obviously going to reduce the amount of targets allowed to all these receivers. But it's really good to see them both perform, just so if they don't have to rush back a Cobb or Allison.
Yeah, I don't see MVS hitting 10 targets in a game again this season. That being said, it's good to see that Rodgers trusted him and he was getting the ball a lot.
That too.
No, but if Allison misses more time, for example, or Cobb, to see him in the 5 to 7 range would not be unrealistic.
No, that'd be
He
what
was
I
1
expect.
target behind Jimmy Graham, and he's clearly ahead of ESB in the pecking order.
Yeah.
Was more so the takeaway from that to me.
Yep.
Speaking of Jimmy Graham, he didn't have a touchdown, but he had a good day as expected. He caught 6 of 11 targets for 76 yards, so that's solid for a tight end.
Tight end one.
It's not what you're hoping for, but you're going to take it. It's basically exactly what Kittle did.
Yeah.
As for the Lions, Stafford's yardage was down. This was completely game script. They were ahead almost the whole game because the defense was playing out of their mind. He only had to pass 26 times, which is a season low. 183 yards, 2 touchdowns, so you're not completely disappointed with it. You just hope for more volume, and this one should have been a shootout. You got more of the same from the running backs. I'm just going to repeat what I said for the Packers. This is dumb. You had split work between Johnson and LeGarrette Blount. They both had 12 carries. Blount vultured 2 touchdowns. Johnson was much more efficient, 70 yards, versus Blount's 22 on those.
That's the third straight week that he's completely outproduced Blount.
It's at this point, it's the coaches aren't going to figure it out. They're just going to keep running this out there, and they've had offensive success, so why not?
And until they do, or until they have to change something, they're not going to. And this is why when you ask us on Sunday, what about carry on? We're tepid on it because even though the efficiency's good and everything else looks good, the volume is just not there. He did say it was fine from the gap injury, by the way.
And they're going into their bye week, so he'll also have more time to heal up.
So he'll be all right coming out of that. It's a flex play. But it's just an absolute train wreck back there. By the way, Theo Riddick, if you're curious, 5 targets.
Just enough to make this even more annoying.
Yep. Kenny Golladay was the leading wide receiver in this one. 9 targets, 4 receptions, 98 yards, and a touchdown. Golden Tate had a mad game. 4 receptions, 7 targets, 42 yards. Jones was not noticeable aside from a lone receiving touchdown. So
he did have a shot into the end zone where he just couldn't quite haul it in. That would have really saved his day.
He's also hurt too.
All 3 of these guys are still startable in average to plus matchups, and in bad matchups, you can still start Tate and call it A and feel fine about it.
I'm fine with Tate. This is just a game script where Stafford didn't have to rely on him to keep drives alive.
And then no tight end targets.
As it should be.
As it should be.
Right.
All right.
So that's it.
Moving on to Falcons versus the Steelers is the game we were all psyched for. It almost hit the over. Unfortunately, real lopsided in which team it went to. Steelers win this one 41-17.
Before we start, shout out to Dylan. We helped him keep his season alive by getting him a big win this week.
Love to hear it.
Thank you, sir.
Keep grinding out wins. You never know what can happen. Don't give up.
Yep.
Right.
Back to the what should have been the game of the week. We'll start with the Falcons here. Matt Ryan gave you a Matt Ryan game. 26-38, 285 touchdown, no picks. Gets the Bucks and Giants still in these next 2 games. Fantastic matchups.
Giants have not been a fantastic matchup. Bucks, though, I 100% agree with.
Well, I still trust the fact that this defense is garbage and that he'll at least have to throw.
That I can agree with.
Ben? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Matt Ryan and Bennett.
Both.
As for this running game, because, fuck it.
Screw it. Yeah.
10 touches for Freeman, 41 yards. 9 touches for Coleman, 30 yards. Smith had 4 touches for 10 yards and vultured the touchdown.
Just like we all predicted.
Steve Sarkisian, you're back. You're back on the shit list.
I was throwing water on him as soon as we heard that they're going to make this into a 3-headed monster that I would try to avoid.
I wouldn't even call it a monster.
Or try to avoid Freeman this week, and it turned out even worse than I could have expected.
You're going to avoid Freeman a lot more, but... I understand with him banged up, you want to not give him as much touches, then why not use Coleman more? Yep, 9 touches.
Because Ito Smith performed without Freeman there, so he earned his way into a role, and that just creates a mess for fantasy.
Yeah.
Yep, and some of these coaches are very much I would rather start 3 backs even if one is noticeably worse than the others and not give my main guy 25 touches.
Yeah, so he's still the best runner of the 3, and I still consider him a low to mid flex play, especially because you drafted him probably in the 2nd round. And you may not have much else there. Coleman can be in the bench just in case if Freeman's injury does a flare up, he still has value. As for Smith, you can't trust the volume.
He's a double handcuff. If you're in a deep enough league where you can stash him, then you're hoping somebody gets hurt. And
then moving on to these receivers, Julio led all receivers in targets, but couldn't get much going. I think he had 9 of them, 5 catches, 62 yards. Really came back down to earth and showed why he's more touchdown dependent than not. 4 for 38 on 5 targets. Sanu got the touchdown. If you YOLO started him, he paid off for you. 7 targets for 4 receptions, 73 yards, and that lone touchdown. You, of course, aren't sitting Julio, but with these decent to great matchups coming up, you can still flex Ridley out there because he's still the big play guy. And even Sanu in these, because
he's getting 80+% snaps. He's still a
they
flex.
do a lot of 2
play.
and 3s receiver out there.
We got a question after you hit the rest of the Falcons.
I just got to do a quick shout out to my Hooper start of the week.
Woo!
Yeah, that worked out.
Yeah, 12 targets, 9 receptions, 77 yards. Didn't get a touchdown, but that's good enough to see mid to high tight end finish. Just play the matchup is where this one worked.
All right, so Fizz with 3 Z's wants to know. We'll touch on this more on the waiver, but let's just get out of the way early. Who are we thinking to pick up, Corey Clement or Wendell Smallwood?
Smallwood short
the
term,
Eagles.
long term.
Smallwood looks better, and he's not banged up already.
Yeah, Clement's kind of nursing things. Josh Adams is a watch. He's bigger than both of them and probably more designed to run between the tackles.
And could be the goal line
And
back.
could be the goal line back. But yeah, it's Smallwood for right now. Clement long term, I agree with that. I like Clement more is kind of a
Now, if
an
you need
every
a
down thing.
fully
if you need a running back, you try to grab both.
They're gonna split work.
I fully expect them to kick the tires some under these free agent running backs. I do not see them running out with these 3, including Josh
or a trade.
Adams. Or
Yeah.
a trade.
But they are gonna.
I will not say nothing.
Hello, Le'Veon.
In the way it currently stands, though, they're gonna split work, and Wendell Smallwood's been more efficient with his touches.
Or I guess a random rumor that came out today, David Johnson apparently.
Yeah, I saw that one.
That
That
was
was
like,
real weird.
Okay.
That's just a rumor, though.
Yeah.
But
Anyways, moving on.
I think we're all saying Smallwood here.
Yeah. Out of Smallwood short term, Clement long term. Moving on to the Steelers here. This game kind of felt like it was supposed to win the way that it did for Steelers. Big Ben, 1929, 250, and 3 touchdowns. You didn't, and then the 1 pick. You didn't get the big yardage day, but he gave you a very efficient day when playing with the lead.
I'll take 20 points.
Yeah. And then James Conner decided to say, fuck you guys, and you're saying that I haven't been very good for weeks 2 through 4. 25 touches, 185 total yards, and 2 rushing touchdowns. The big question is, of course, what are we doing with him knowing that Bell is slated to come back week 7?
I'm starting him until Bell comes back, and then I will recalculate at that point. I mean, I don't think
Will you kick the tires on a trade for him anywhere?
if anyone
Or
comes
you're trying to sell him?
if anyone comes at knocking with a decent offer, but I'm still going to be able to get at least one more startable week out of him, and I don't think people are going to be paying me what I'm looking for to get that.
Yeah. And then especially because I don't see this, like even when Bell coming back, this isn't a D'Angelo Williams and Bell situation. Williams was in his mid-30s. He wasn't the future running back of this franchise. Connor is. So I don't even think Bell is the true bell cow when he gets back. I think this could be a split workload and make things a nightmare for everyone.
Yay.
Yeah.
Check in on Jalen Samuels, by the way, because he was allegedly the handcuff before the season started.
I don't think his pulse is beating very much.
Someone wake up Jalen. Where Jalen at?
And then for these receivers here, a lot of the same Brown things. 6 for 101, 2 touchdowns on 13 targets. Juju kind of gave you a quiet day, but he had the touchdown to save. He cut off 4 of his targets for 34 yards. I think we can expect this just because this Brown is the true number 1 in this offense.
Yeah, and I think it was kind of a get right game for him as well.
And game script kind of took him out of it. He didn't need him as much.
So did you see the comment in the chat before we started talking about James Conner and Le'Veon Bell?
No.
The comment in the chat was, I've got James Conner and I'm going to be mad if the Steelers turn their backs on him. So good job addressing what you didn't even know was there.
That's right.
The other piece of this too is I saw that the stat for Ben right now has given uncatchable targets to Brown 21 times already this year, which leads the NFL by 9 for a quarterback to a single receiver.
I think he forgets that Brown isn't 6'4", and then he's just 5'11".
I think he just kind of whips
5'10".
it in his general direction, be like, "Go get it, Brown."
Yeah, do Brown thins.
Make stuff happen.
And as for the tight end situation, 5 total targets to all 3 of them because Xavier Grimble decided to catch one.
Why?
Because they hate us.
Vance McDonald was so promising.
I am
2
weeks.
targets, 1 catch.
I am so ready to start a tight end optional league this year after this season.
Brent did it a year ahead, and I'm quite enjoying it. Where you got a wide receiver tight end flex option. I think that's a good way to do it too.
Don't play any of these. I like McDonald and just DFS if he's cheap, but you can't trust any of this season long.
No.
And that's my take on that.
All right, enough about that. Over to the Ravens versus the Browns. Browns win this one 12-9
This was
in overtime.
Freaking gross. We'll start with the Ravens. Flacco, 298 yards and a pick. It was an ugly day for him. There were some drops that hurt him, but overall, just not a good showing.
Looking at you, Crabtree.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Crabtree.
Touches were 14-13 in favor of Buck Allen, but more the same with the running game. Both guys were efficient at what they did. No surprise, Buck was the more targeted back. Yardage about the same, efficiency about the same.
And Buck Allen continues to get the goal line work.
Yeah, he does.
And all the snaps
Well,
apparently this
not
game
that there
too.
was a whole lot of it here to be had.
No.
Brown, Snead, Crabtree, all kind of wide receiver 3 days. They were all in the 50 to 65 yard range, no touchdowns. Brown did have 14 targets. Crabtree had 12. Snead 7. Willie Snead, though, is the one I want to talk about here. He's got 50 yards in 3 of his last 5 games, 7 or more targets in 3 of 5. Is he rosterable? Maybe as kind of a hold, an emergency start if you get into a situation like that, kind of like Adam Humphries has been in years past, where you need a guy during bye weeks.
I'd have to be pretty desperate, but I'd consider it.
You end up in a pinch in bye week, something like that, to where you should.
Yeah, if you
Roster him.
because it's week 7 is when the first 4 starts, and it's 4-4-6-4-6 for teams on bye.
Oh,
It's not a bad plug and play
So
option.
Yeah.
there will be some times there where you might get a little desperate.
especially matchup
Yeah.
dependent.
So just keep that in mind as we head into Buypocalypse, is that that's a guy who may be available on waivers that you could plug and play that's not going to give you a complete dud, and if he scores a touchdown, he's got that wide receiver 2 upside. All 4 tight ends saw between 2 and 4 targets, and by that I mean 2 or 3 targets. Andrews had 3, everybody else had 2.
Yeah, my psychic powers are not good enough to read those fucking tea leaves.
There's no tea leaves to be read. They're splitting work.
Yep.
Almost purely. And neither of them are doing a lot with it. As for the Browns, Baker Mayfield was 25 of 43, 342, a touchdown, and a pick. Is he working his way into streaming status with multiple games around 300 yards? He's got a 1-to-1 touchdown to interception rate.
This was one of his toughest matchups. He's got a good one next week. He is going to be a streamer for me next week.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just something to keep. The volume's been good. As for the running backs, Nick Chubb's got to get his. That means he got 3 touches.
Again.
For 2 yards this time. He didn't break a big one. You had 1 target for Duke Johnson and 5 carries for him. Carlos Hyde continues to be the only viable back to put anywhere in your lineup in this. He led the backfield, 17 attempts for 63 yards, no touchdowns, 2 receptions for 17 yards. It's kind of set it and forget it, kind of mid-tier running back. It's kind of like what we thought Lamar Miller was going to be.
Yeah, he's a mid to low running back too. Maybe a little better if he falls in the end zone.
And with some receiving ability. And then Landry and Njoku, they both finished with 69 yards on 10 and 11 targets respectively. Njoku was the big beneficiary because the one of Callaway's targets being scaled back. The one thing Hugh Jackson didn't lie about. Callaway had been consistently in double digits. He was down to 5.
Then
in this
Rashad
game.
Higgins is banged up too. He
Yeah.
did some work in this game too, though.
Yep. So as you can see here, Hugh Jackson either lies or he doesn't, so it's about a 50-50 shot. He's telling the truth.
So he's like a normal person.
But yeah, it looks like Njoku was the beneficiary
A
of
normal
that.
coach.
All right. That's all you got on that one?
That's it.
Jaguars at the Chiefs up next. This game was not quite as much of a barn burner as we were hoping. 30-14. Chiefs pull out the win. Start with the Jaguars, where we had an appearance of garbage time Bortles.
God, how I missed him.
He made an appearance in this one. He turned the ball over 5 times.
True garbage time Bortles.
4 picks and a fumble.
It's a vintage Blake Bortles
Yes.
performance.
Still broke 20 fantasy points.
Hell yeah.
33 of 61, 430 yards and a touchdown through the air.
Jesus.
34 yards and a touchdown on the ground to save your day. Schedule going forward from him is less than ideal, but if you got him in plus matchups, he is still a possible streamer, even if the team gets down early.
Or you can just garbage time Bortles is the best.
I don't know how much we're going to get of these anymore with Jacksonville's defense actually, pretty dominant. Not against
It
the
was
best
it was good
offense
to go
in the
back
league.
to 2015.
It
though.
was good.
Well, and they'll catch the I don't know, they already caught the Patriots. What other offenses might they catch? Houston, I guess.
The Colts? Houston? No.
So Grant got 1 carry, got hurt. He's done for the year. So it's all Yeldon for the rest of it. 18 total touches, 122 yards, and a touchdown. Well, Fournette's out. He is a must-start running back, too, in most matchups.
Yeah.
And proving that the Jaguars receivers are a massive fucking headache. Westbrook goes from 13 targets last week to 5 in this one, and Moncrief jumps to 15. Cole saw 10, and Niles fucking Paul saw 9 with ASJ getting hurt and being done for the year.
Why the fuck is Niles Paul getting 9 targets?
I don't know, but he is a waiver wire ad now. That's where we
fucking
are.
hate everything.
Defense was able to sack Mahomes once, picked him off twice, so their day was not a complete disaster, even though they gave up 30 points. Start them with confidence going forward. On to the Chiefs side, Mahomes had his worst game of the season, 22 of 38, 313, 0 and 2. Got 413 and 1 on the ground to kind of help him get his day. That touchdown saved you. much better games. He doesn't have a super tough matchup again until November. So rest of October, just plug him and start him. Hunt saw 22 carries against this defense, which surprised me a little bit, but he managed to turn into 87 yards. He did get a touchdown, only one target still.
Game script.
Game script for this one.
It's a game script for sure.
They're just not passing to him at all. Spencer Ware saw 2 targets.
They're not just they're
Well,
not passing their running backs at all.
3 targets
That's a
to
better-
running backs
Yeah.
in a game that they led almost wire to wire.
But now we're up. I think we've seen Hunt with 10 targets on the year so far through 5 games. They're just not throwing to him. That was a big part of his game last year.
I mean, that's 2 a game, though, and you just use that as a boost
I
to
don't think
Spencer
he's
Ware.
seen 10 targets.
I was just saying how pathetic it was that Ware out-targeted him.
Has he seen
Not.
10 targets? He's had 1 target in the first 3 weeks, and then this week. I think he had, 3 or 4 last week?
And it's probably 8 then. It's not a lot.
I'm not saying that 10's good, but he's...
So that
Even
keeps him
worse
from
than
the...
that.
He was a guy who, with a lot of his pass-catching volume, would boost him into the high-end running back ones. He's not doing that anymore. So he's more of a back-end one with
Which
what we've
makes
seen.
no sense.
Passing game continues to be focused on Kelsey, Watkins, and Hill. Saw 8, 8, and 7 targets, respectively. None scored. All had at least 78 total yards, including Hill with some of his rushing. At this point, they're all flex plays or better going forward, even in the absolute worst matchups. And the defense balled out in this one. 5 sacks, 5 turnovers, defensive touchdown. Weeks 8 to 10, they get the Broncos at home, at the Browns, and home against the Cardinals. So you may actually consider the Chiefs' defense.
Especially when Eric Berry gets back.
Yeah, they're going to be sneaky. For sure.
That's all I got on that game. Up next, Dolphins versus the Bengals. Tale of 2 halves. Bengals come from behind to win this one 27-17.
All right, let's start with Ryan Tannehill. He was mediocre as per the norm, 185 yards, touchdown, 2 picks. Kenyon Drake, on the other hand, was not mediocre. He saw 13 touches, total 118 yards from scrimmage, and a touchdown against a big Bengals team that's been relatively not good against the run. But with this performance, did he promote himself from timeout to matchup dependent at least?
Yes.
I'm at least considering it. He's getting close.
Yeah, I think he came out of timeout to matchup dependent for me. Frank Gore carried 12 times for 63 yards, no touchdowns, but that's 3 of 5, just kind of okay running back 3 weeks for Frank Gore. As an emergency backup for bye weeks, you got to think that he's rosterable in the same vein as Willie Snead is.
See my comments on Willie Snead. You have to be really desperate, but you might be.
Yep. No wide receiver top 50 yards in this one. Wilson was your leading target getter with 5. Stills now giving you 3 of 5 dud weeks, and his 2 non-duds were on big touchdowns. What are we doing with Kenny Stills?
Dropping him unless it's best ball. I mean, at this point, I can't trust any of the Dolphins receivers.
Fair enough.
I'm going to keep him on my bench for Apocalypse. That's just as a boom guy.
It's a good throw out.
I mean, obviously, the drop is if you have something better, but
Yeah.
I think with
Yeah.
some of the
No, I
callouts I'm
get
going to have
that.
this week, you will.
Yeah.
Yep. Gasecki's approaching tight end standard range. 5 targets, 3 receptions, 26 yards.
He's almost there. He's 4 more yards.
4 more yards.
4 more
and he's
yards.
there.
And he's there.
We'll get to that floor.
As for the Bengals, Andy Dalton, 20 of 30, 248, a touchdown and a pick. He came down to earth in this one. It should have been a better game as Xavier Howard's kind of their biggest threat. Is this a throwaway game for Dalton, or are we concerned that he's normalizing?
The pick was in the red zone, and it was on a tip ball. So I do think he should be better than this going forward, but it's also kind of a reminder that Andy Dalton is not an elite must-start fantasy quarterback. He's just above
where he's
average
always
one.
been as a mid to high streamer.
Yep.
And it could just be a bad game, too. He's been relatively good all season up to this one. Joe Mixon, not fully unleashed, was apparently 25 touches and 115 scrimmage yards
He played
and a receiving touchdown, so just start him.
Yeah.
career 47 snaps.
Hey, Marvin Jones.
Thanks, Jones.
I want to thank you for lying to us for once and actually doing
I
the
don't
right
believe
thing.
a fucking thing he says.
Marvin Lewis?
Marvin Lewis, sorry. What
Marvin
did I say?
Jones.
Marvin Jones.
Maybe he lied too. I don't know.
He might have lied also. Maybe he had some insider information. He did play here. AJ Green reminded us all that he is not matchup dependent. 10 targets, 6 receptions, 112 yards. Kind of broke that Xavier Howard thing.
Yeah, and he made him look silly.
He did, but it's one of the best receivers in the game. So.
Yeah, kind of like Adams. I think we were getting a little too worried about matchups. Just start these bastards.
Yeah.
No.
Start your studs.
Yep.
Yep.
Your top 8-9 receivers, you do not sit them.
Tyler Boyd gave you his worst game in a while. Just from an efficiency standpoint, the target volume was about the same. He had 7 targets, 4 for 44. That's okay. His target volume is still promising. I'm not concerned. He was kind of missing the touchdown in this one, but we've seen him go 70 and a touchdown in previous games. So
And he still had a couple of really nice plays.
yeah, he did. So I'm not necessarily concerned about Tyler Boyd given this. This was a floor game, and it's still 6 points and 6.4 points and half PPR, which is not fantastic at all, but you can live with it. You're gonna get somebody in your lineup most weeks that does that.
Yep, better than some people I started this week.
Yep. Tight ends, they saw 3 targets in total. CJ Uzama 2 for 43 yards. Tyler Croft had 1 and then hurt himself.
Yep, Croft is hurt though, so that helps Uzama at least a little bit.
Who's your mama?
Yeah, he could have had 3 targets for maybe 50 yards.
And it is time to review a pumpkin beer.
A pumpkin? We're reviewing a pumpkin?
It's a porter.
Beer review.
So you guys didn't need my help on that one. What'd you guys think of Epic Brewing's Imperial Pumpkin Porter from their Exponential series?
I think it leans more stout than porter.
Yeah.
Honestly. I see where you can tell it's a porter because it does finish a little bit nutty, which is a traditional kind of take from porters, but it also has a little kind of dark chocolate bitterness to me, which could just be the alcohol also. Pumpkin and spice on the nose.
Yeah, it's got smooth. It's got the smooth finish, which is. I mean, I really enjoy this. Not super strong on on the alcohol taste, and that's saying because it's 8% in there, so it's not terrible in that department. I think it's just a really smooth, easy drinking.
I feel like flavor and
pumpkin beer.
Body wise, it leans more stout almost.
All right. Anything else you guys got to add?
No.
Anything you have to add?
I'm just trying not to get too nauseous right now.
Okay.
Imperial Pumpkin Porter from Epic Brewing. Glad we got at least 2 of the guys who gave a review for it. I'm very sad I missed it, and it was a bummer, so it is gone.
I'm gonna take a nap now.
Right.
All right. Dan, it's going to be real heavy you for the 3 of the last 4 games. You got Raiders versus the Chargers first. Chargers win 26-10. Wasn't even really that close.
No, we'll start with the Raiders here. Carr gave you a day. I almost expected him to have 24-33, 268, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. This offense is still a head scratcher. I do not trust Carr enough to stream him, even with Bipocalypse showing up. He gets Seahawks, Colts, and Niners though for his next 3 matchups. So if you're desperate,
Ain't that desperate.
yeah. And moving on to the running game, after 4 straight great games from Marshawn Lynch, this game script and no touchdowns from him really gave him a dud. 11 touches for 41 yards. Gets the revenge game next week, though. So maybe that'll, help.
Mm-hmm.
And then as for Jalen Richard, because he got game scripted in, cut out 6 of his targets for 53 yards. You want to follow that, by all means, good luck. And then as for the receivers here, because it gets even more of a clusterfuck, he gave Amari Cooper 1 fucking target. I get it that Casey Hayward's good. I understand that, but why the fuck are you game scripting away from your best receiver? It's annoying.
Yeah,
I don't understand it.
This overly aggressive game script style that we're seeing from this offense is incredibly frustrating to try to project it. It makes me want to start as few of these players as possible. Basically, I want to start Lynch and maybe Cook, and that's about it.
Going with the easy way. Amari Cooper's on an every other week thing right now, so start him this week.
He's opposite of Isaiah Crowell.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a flex spot and you have
Just
Crowell and
alternate
Cooper,
the 2.
you're set.
Yeah. Then as for the maybe new wide receiver 1 or 1B here, Jordy Nelson scored in 3 straight weeks now. Cut off 4 of his targets for 43 yards and a touchdown. He's become kind of the safety blanket for Derek Carr.
This is what I thought he might be at the start of the season. It is good to see it. Hopefully it continues because I want to see something out of this offense I can start.
Are you going to rank Jordy Nelson ahead of Amari Cooper going forward?
No.
It's an even week, so no.
I want it going forward, not this upcoming week.
So the upside's higher for Cooper.
Yeah, I agree with that. And then Jared Cook, 2nd targets again. He had 6, but he only caught 4 of them for 20 yards. Poop.
It's tight end. Sometimes they dud you. At least he got you 4.
Yep.
Most of the time.
Most of the time. Moving on to the Chargers here. So Rivers had a crazy good, efficient day, 22, 27, 339 with 2 touchdowns, no picks. Outside of a really tough matchup, and even then, I think you can start him every week with confidence.
Statistically, he's the MVP right now. He's been awesome.
He's been insane.
I think he jumped over Mahomes in terms of his statistical efficiency after this last week.
Yeah. And then as for the running game, Melvin Gordon continues to have a great start to the season. 23 total touches, 120 yards. And he added a rushing touchdown. He's had a touchdown in 4 straight games. 4 of these 5 weeks he's played start this year. He's been an RB1 finish. Locked and loaded, top 5, top 3 at this point.
If it wasn't for how crazy good Kamara and Gurley have been through the first couple weeks, people will be freaking even more out about Gordon. He's been awesome.
Yeah. And then Austin Eckler continues to impress, but he doesn't get any more touches. 7 this week, 59 yards, and a receiving touchdown.
Hey, they were ahead in this one most of the way, weren't they?
Yeah.
That's Eckler. That's how you predicted. Is it a positive? Yeah. Are the Chargers going to be ahead? Great. Austin Eckler. Are they going to be behind? Okay, Mike Williams.
Now, he did go ahead and get you a good game off his 50-yard touchdown play, so that helped.
Yep.
Yeah.
On his lone reception.
That's what I was saying. Eckler when they're ahead and Williams when they're behind.
And then, speaking of these receivers, Keenan Allen, he kind of righted his ship. I think he had 9 targets, 8 receptions for 90 yards, but he's been held without a touchdown for 4 straight games. He's still a very good wide receiver, too, but he's not the wide receiver one I think most of us predicted.
With the target volume he's getting, I think he is going to boom here. It's just when. But you still keep starting him.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying you don't. That's why he's still a very good high end, too. He's just not the one that I think a lot of us projected.
You think you could see a similar season what Michael Thomas put up last year out of Keenan Allen this year?
And he had a slow start last year, too.
Yeah, he blew up in the last 8 weeks last year. He was actually pretty quiet at the start of the season as well.
So don't get too too busy about him.
I love trading for him right now.
And then the Williams brothers kind of walled themselves in here. Mike and Tyrell. Mike had 7 targets, 4 for 60. Tyrell had 3 or 4 for 30 or for 60 something yards. I think Mike's kind of come back down to earth on this, and you can still play him during the Bipocalypse weeks, but Tyrell just doesn't get the volume.
Yeah, people broke the champagne bottle a little too early to crown Mr. Mike Williams as a breakout player.
Yeah, he's game script dependent. His numbers
which
showed that
he's not a breakout because of it. He's
right.
Yeah.
It's like I just said earlier, both Eckler and Williams very distinctively through the first few weeks of the season, game script will predict their performance.
Yep, this is still a very good offense. So even during these bye weeks, you can throw them out there and just kind of hope that things kind of fall right into place with them. Tight ends here, none. Nope, don't want to.
All right, we had a comment from Rose Sharma. Just traded away Connor for Bell. Got Gurley as my other running back, so hope this works. I hope he's not lying.
Yeah, hopefully he comes back in week 7 and doesn't wait till week 10, and hopefully he gets the majority
of the touches.
Maybe he
gets traded to a team that needs a running back.
Right.
Yeah.
You got the first 2 picks in most leagues. Yeah. Down the stretch that could help you. Just hope that you got something to plug in at running back 2 behind Gurley for the time being. Which there's enough.
Hopefully, we've got Yeldon or James White or Michelle or something.
One of those late round guys that was probably on your bench to plug in, and as long as you have that, you're going to be absolutely set. And if Bell's not lying, that's going to be a pretty good step to line it for a championship.
That's right, Fizz. Cough, Eagles, cough.
Cough, Eagles, cough. That would be nice.
I'm not saying nothing.
All right, that all we have on that game?
That's it.
All right, Vikings versus the Eagles. Vikings beat the Eagles 23-21. On the Viking side first, Cousins was a very effective 30 of 37, 301, 1-0. If the team had not settled for 5 field goals, it would have been an even better game for him. He's got 4 decent or better matchups before the bye week here. He's got the Cardinals at the Jets versus the Saints and versus the Lions. So pretty solid schedule for Cousins going forward. He'll continue to be a mid to top half quarterback one going forward. Murray did about what we expected, and why we kind of recommended don't view him as a plug-and-play fill-in with Cook out. 13 touches, 56 total yards. He does get the Cardinals next week, though, so if Cook misses again, we will be recommending you start Murray.
That is a great start for Murray.
Offense completely runs through Thielen and Diggs. They're averaging 13 and 11 targets a game, respectively. No one else is seeing an average of more than 5. They're both locked in as high wide receiver 2s with wide receiver 1 upside every single game. And the only one else who's startable is Rudolph, just to how decimated tight ends are. He's actually been kind of disappointing, basically giving you a floor of about 6 to 8 points.
So he's a mid tight end.
So he's a tight end 1.
Yeah, so I'm fine with that.
But a disappointing tight end when he hasn't had a boom game yet through 5 weeks.
Outside of Zach Ertz and Travis Kelce, I don't know that there's really anybody you're not disappointed with right now.
I'm very not disappointed with Eric Ebron.
Ebron for 1 week.
Defense played better. They got a nice matchup at home with the Cardinals in week 6, so if you still have them, you can start them next week with confidence. On the Eagles side, Wentz had an excellent stat line. A large chunk of the production came late, though. Vikings switched to a prevent defense. He put up, I think, like 80 yards all to Ertz in the last drive. He went 24-35, 311, 2-0 to go with 5:26 and 0 on the ground. He did get a fumble. Schedule's bad for the next couple weeks, though. He goes out to the Giants, versus the Panthers, which was okay, versus the Jaguars, and versus the Cowboys, all with pretty, at least okay to good pass defenses.
I was gonna say, yeah, those are average to above average pass defenses.
With one elite.
Elite in Jacksonville's case.
Running game is anemic. Running backs went 12, 54, and 0 combined. Ajayi, who's now on IR, saw 8 of the 12 carries, managed 39 yards out of it. Smallwood, as we mentioned, has been the best looking back, and someone to consider as a waiver wire ad who's now switched to a priority waiver wire ad with the Ajayi news.
I have a note here that just came through. Clement practiced in full today.
They're going on Thursday night.
They're going Thursday night.
So it'll be the Clement and Smallwood show.
I think they're both flexible. Just don't put them in your flex.
Yes.
Yep. Ertz was force-fed 11 targets in this one on his way to 110 in one day. With Wentz in the lineup, his value is significantly higher. He's getting way more downfield shots and way more use than he did with Foles. Jeffrey was second filled with 8, managed to catch 2 for 39. He and Rhodes just have some weird matchups sometimes. Sometimes Jeffrey wins, sometimes Rhodes wins. This one went to Rhodes. Aguilar was third at 4 targets. He caught all for 45 yards, but his target volume has been coming way down ever since Jeffrey came back and Wentz came back. Are you worried about Aguilar?
You saw this at the end of last season too, when they've kind of taken that turn where Jeffrey became more comfortable with Wentz. You'd have liked to see him take the next step in this matchup because it was a plus matchup for him. But I'm a little concerned. But I mean, I kind of saw this coming into the season too.
He's in timeout. I'm still okay with running him out there if I don't have any better options, or if I'm in a league where I have to start 3 wide receivers or something along those lines.
I also expect his offense to just get better as Wentz continues to shake off whatever rust he has.
Maybe
left.
when they get through the Jaguars game here, they'll start to trend upward.
Mm-hmm.
Defense is pretty mediocre. They are startable against the Giants, Jaguars, and Cowboys through the next 4 weeks, though, so do consider them as a hold.
Secondary is pretty mediocre.
Yeah.
But
pass rush is good.
So are the Cowboys receiving core and even the Jaguars to a degree. So
all right, Dan, you got Rams versus the Seahawks. This one went 33-31. Dan rushes through this one.
All right, Rams. Goff came back down to earth a little bit in this game. 23-32, 321, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. A loss of Cooks early also hurt this, and then a loss of Cup later on in the game didn't do him any favors. He is completely fine though. This offense is amazing. Todd Gurley is trying his best to be the first running back ever to finish as the #1 running back in back-to-back seasons. 26 touches, 113 yards, 3 rushing touchdowns. He's got a touchdown in every game this season, 9 total on the season. Dude is a fucking beast. As just mentioned, Cooks got knocked out early, so that's why he gave you the dud in this game. Cup was knocked out later on, but he finished. He saw a great day: 9 targets, 6 receptions, 90 yards, and a touchdown.
He did enough.
He did more than enough. At this point, I think Cup is firmly locked himself as a 2, potentially even 1 in this offense sometimes.
Yeah. Woods even. I mean, he didn't get blown up until second half early.
Yeah.
So he hadn't done anything to that point, though.
Yeah, he finished his day 7 targets, 5 receptions, 92 yards. So it wasn't terrible. He became the focal point when those 2 came out. But yeah, he is the 3 and maybe the least trusted. He's not the target leader in this team anymore.
I mean, they're all 3 productive.
They're all 3 very productive.
It's like the Lions plus. You can start all 3 of them. It's like the Lions, Packers, and whatever team we're talking about. Rams. We're all 3 wide receivers are pretty startable most weeks.
And Josh Reynolds showed up on the box score, but that was because of injuries. And the tight ends showed up on the box score because of these injuries. As a whole, though, they finished with 7 targets, 5 receptions for 50 yards. They both pretty much split them equally.
And we got a chat question.
Defense is a mess right now, but they get the Broncos and Niners next week. So good get right game for the Rams.
I forget defenses are things. John Schultz, what's up, man? What do you guys think about Mr. Baldwin tempted to drop him?
I'm just about to get that.
All right.
Yeah, so
hold tight. When we get to that part of the Seahawks, we'll talk about him.
Sorry, man. Just moving on to the Seahawks here. So Wilson kind of proved to us why we should maybe not consider him benching him all the time. 13, 21, 188, and 3 passing touchdowns, but there is a concern here in terms of his rushing attempts. First time in his career he finished with 0 rushing attempts, and that has been a concern. That's been where his floor has come from.
Marty Schottenheimer, you are joining the Mike McCoy list for my hate. I don't know why Wilson is not running. It is driving me crazy.
I wonder if there's some undisclosed injury or something here.
No, because he's moving fine.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But there's something.
It's a scheme thing.
Yeah. And then moving on to the running backs here, both Chris Carson and Mike Davis put up good to great games, Carson finished with 20 touches, 128 total yards. Davis finished with 14 touches, 75 total yards, and got the touchdown. Penny was held without an offensive snap. Drop him if you haven't already.
He will be on the list later.
Yes. As for Chris Carson and Mike Davis, I still trust Chris Carson because he gets the volume in this, but Mike Davis is the pass catcher here, and this Rams defense isn't as elite as it used to be, so he will be utilized in most of these games. Probably more of a flex play in those situations, and Carson's probably that mid to low RB2. And then back to the receivers' questions here with Wilson only throwing the ball 21 times. There wasn't a lot of targets to go around. Lockett had the big day. 5 of those targets, 3 went for 98. He caught 3 of them for 98 yards in that big touchdown. I think Baldwin's used as more of a decoy because he only got 1 target. He's been banged up. He said it himself. He's not going to be 100% this season.
So rest of the season, are we concerned about him? Is it just he's getting kind of back into the swing of things and he'll do second half Doug Baldwin things?
I expect him to trend in the right direction as long as he doesn't re-injure anything, but he is in timeout.
He is.
I would say hold him.
Yeah.
Timeout means keep him on your bench. Don't think about starting him, but hold him.
I wouldn't be like, you can try to use his name as a trade bait to upgrade the position. 'Cause I think you're going to see games like this where he's not 100%. He may play fully all week in practice, but it doesn't mean he's healthy.
Well, and he has historically been a better second half receiver. Also,
he's like Wilson in that in that sense.
The offense in general has been. So and one more. No, go ahead. Actually, we'll wait till you're at the end of the Seahawks for this question.
Then we're going to get to the tight ends here. Nick Vannett, I think, should be rostered, and he could be considered a streaming candidate in a lot of these weeks. He had 83% snap count this week. He only had 4 targets for 3 for 43 yards on them, but
that's like 25% target share. That's fine.
That's what you want from your tight ends.
That's better than your normal tight end day by 13 yards.
Well, that and just the snap count, in general, he is the starting tight end here, and I think he should be rostered.
Yep.
And that's it for Seahawks.
All right. Fizz again says he's down to dropping Alfred Blue and picking up either Tariq Cohen or Corey Clement.
Clement.
Yeah.
I don't think that is the normal plan for Cohen. What we saw this last week.
No, I don't think it is either. I think that Howard's going to be more involved in other certain weeks. I think that was a game plan thing. Cohen's still going to be a 9 to 12 touch most weeks type of role player.
No, he's like, you're hoping for 9 to 12 touches most weeks. I think he was generally getting like 6,
7
to 8.
a game.
Yeah,
to start before week 4.
So definitely Clement.
And then Blue, you just have Foreman coming off of IR.
And just for Roe, who joined after we talked about this.
Okay.
You think Clement will dominate the backfield? No, we don't. We do think that Wendell Smallwood's also going to have a pretty decent chunk of work.
And Sproles whenever he comes back.
Yeah, and Sproles is not on IR either. So
Look at the Giants. It's a decent matchup. I don't know if I want to roll him out there Thursday night, but he is practiced in fully. That news just dropped.
This is going to be in our BBC.
Yeah,
but as long as Sproles is missing time, Smallwood and Clement can both be flexed. But I don't expect either one of them to dominate. It's going to kind of be a hot hand approach, I would think.
Yeah. Any more questions?
Nope.
On these? Anything else?
Let's wrap up your last game here.
We'll go to the last game here. Cardinals 49ers. We'll start with the Cardinals here. Rosen, pretty fucking bad. Outside of the opening play, 75-yard catch and run touchdown pass to Christian Kirk, he finished 9 for 24 for 95 yards. I don't know why you'd be playing him, but that's pretty fucking bad. David Johnson found the end zone twice to save his day, finished with 20 touches for 71 yards. He's just averaging 3.3 yards per carry in the season. I think he hasn't seen a game over 5 targets since week 1, and he hasn't caught more than 3 passes in, I think, week 3. Is he a sell high after today? Or are you just holding him and just expecting him to get that efficiency number up?
Is anyone buying him high?
Well, 3 touchdowns in these last 2 games. He finally saw some bell cow work in week 4, but he kind of came back down there. He only had 2 targets in this game.
I don't like what I would be able to sell him for right now.
Yeah. I mean, I would definitely check if you have a player that you're like, I'm sick of dealing with this headache, absolutely check the temperature every time and see if somebody's giving you something based on name value alone. But I think people are aware enough that DJ has not been himself in this offense, is not letting him do that.
Okay. We'll get to the shittier part of this team, and that's the receivers here. Fitz finished again with a dud. 3 targets, 2 for 35 yards on those. He still leads the team in snaps, so there is some of that get right at some point this season. But this is 4 straight games that he's done this. Christian Kirk had the big play, so that build out his 4 targets, 3 catches for 85 yards, and that touchdown. Chad Williams actually led the team in targets with 6, though, but he shouldn't be rostered. Are any of these receivers rostered at this point? Are we that done with Fitz?
Fitz in probably 12-team.
Fitz is in timeout.
Yeah, 12-team leagues. It's lower than that, he is droppable. And then Kirk, you're probably in 12-team decently large benches or higher. You're probably rostering Kirk.
Okay. RSJ, 6 targets, caught none.
Rosen's bad at football.
Jesus. Defense though had a great game, 5 turnovers, and then one of those fumble recoveries went for a touchdown. So they get the Vikings next week, but they then get the Broncos and Niners in week 7 and 9. So decent streaming. As I said before, they've been very good against quarterbacks and receivers. They're bad against running backs, but if you can get some sacks, that's where that comes from.
And it helped that Breida got hurt earlier in this one.
Yeah, and they had 4 sacks, I think, in this game as well. And then moving on to the Niners, Bethard had a weird day. 34 for 54, 349 yards, 2 touchdowns, 4 total turnovers, 2 picks, and 2 fumble losses for him. But he had a rushing touchdown as well. He's going to finish this week as a backing QB1. I don't like him. That's a lot of turnovers in just 2 games, but this is a bad defense too, and everyone's banged up. So if he's throw the ball 54 times a game, he may actually have a chance to give you something. As for the running game here, Breida looked strong before being forced out of the game with an ankle injury. Finished with 9 touches, 61 total yards, and a touchdown. Morris even had himself a good day. 21 total touches, 91 total yards, had 5 targets. Breida missed his time. I like Morris because of just how much Bethard uses their running backs. On top of Kyle Juszczyk at 7 targets, caught 6 of them for 75 yards. He's had 10 targets with Bethard since last week.
Yep, he is a similar conversation to Frank Gore.
We got a fullback becoming fantasy relevant. We've reached that point.
Kyle
And it's not Mike Allstott.
No.
Or
John Kuhn.
Yeah, right. Oh, fuck John Kuhn. As for this receiving core, it's I trust George Kittle. He finishes 7 targets, 5 catches, 83 yards on those. He's a locked and loaded top 5 tight end at this point for me. He's had 15 targets with these 2 games with Bethard. 11 receptions, 208 yards, and a touchdown. But as for the actual receivers, there's no good one in this game. So Trent Taylor actually had a decent game. 8 targets, 7 receptions, 61 yards, and a touchdown. Garcon led all receivers in targets, so with 12, but finished with just 5 receptions for 47 yards. Good luck trying to figure this out when Goodwin comes back, though. It's going to be a headache.
Yep. I agree. The passing game outside of Kittle really took a hit when they lost.
There's a lot of volume, though, so I think there is some flex value here if they can get it going.
All right. Anything else in that game?
That's it.
All right. Let's wrap this up with Sunday Night Football. Cowboys versus the Texans. Texans win this one in overtime, 19-16 on the Cowboys side. Dak continues to be mediocre at best, which should have been a good matchup for him. He was 18-29, 208 yards, which he at least broke 200 yards for you. 1 touchdown, 2 picks, and only 34 yards on the ground. When he's throwing to running backs and tight ends, he was 12 of 13 for 128 yards. When he was targeting his wide receivers, he was 6 of 16 for 80 yards, a touchdown, and 2 picks. They desperately need someone to step up and be the number 1 wide receiver outside, and it's just not happening.
I don't even know if that will help him.
Schedule is real ugly. Next couple weeks, they get the Jaguars and the Redskins before the bye.
Have fun.
Zeke gave you his floor here, 84 yards and 27 touches, 7 receptions. It's a tough running matchup, so you'll take it. It's an okay PPR day. And as mentioned before, receiving game is absolute garbage. No one outside of Zeke had more than 4 targets. The only name who did anything that I'm even looking at is Jeff Swaim. Caught all 3 of his targets for 55 yards as the main tight end. But overall, this passing game is just atrociously bad. Hearns had 1 catch for a touchdown, 6 total receptions to wide receivers. It was garbage. On to the Texans side, Watson continues to look better every week. 33 of 44 for 375 yards and a touchdown and a pick. Also 40 hard-earned rushing yards, which he was trying to get injured, is basically as best as I can tell.
His ribs took a fucking beating.
Schedule isn't amazing though. He's got the Bills, Jags, and Dolphins before he catches the Broncos before their bye week. So not amazing matchups there, especially that Jags game. Blue was bad on the ground on this one, taking over for Miller. 46 yards and 20 carries, a very Alfred Blue-like day. Receptions, though, 8 of them for 73 yards. So if you emergency started him, you ended up okay in PPR leagues.
I had to play against him in the league.
If Miller is out, you will start him against the Bills if Miller is still MIA. On to the receiving game. Hopkins gave you everything you wanted except the touchdown, which he was about half a yard short on. Caught 9 of 13 for 151 yards, so he's still amazing. Next guy up, though, was surprising. Ryan Griffin had 9 targets in this game. So he's actually inserting himself into the streamable targets list because he out-targeted Thomas and Atkins 9 to a combined 3. Third among receivers and tight ends was Cootie with 7, who had another strong showing here. He's a priority ad in PPR leagues if available. And Fuller only got 3 targets in this one. He seems to be limited by the hamstring. Keep a really close eye on how practice goes for him this week, because if he's continuing to be limited, I may avoid starting him next week until we know that he's healthy and right again.
He broke his touchdown streak.
He did break his touchdown streak and just was not used at all. All right, that's all I got for that. Any more questions before we hit injuries and get to the end of this episode?
Nope, Dan's got to bounce.
Dan's bouncing? All right.
Goodbye.
Injuries?
Injuries.
Monday hangovers.
All right, we're just going to run through all these injuries here, starting with Jay Ajayi. He tore his ACL, as mentioned earlier in the episode. He is done for the year.
Matt Breida, mid to high ankle sprain. You got the note on here that he likely misses multiple weeks, and there was another report later this evening that said it's not serious and he could play on Monday. So who the hell knows at this point?
Yep, keep an eye on this. He may go here Monday night. I would be surprised, but he may be back in 2 weeks.
Could be.
Corey Grant, Liz Frank injury. He is done for the year.
Damn Liz Frank. She's a real pain in the ass. Cooper Kupp, concussion, and Brandon Cooks, concussion. I'll just get them both.
Yep, keep an eye on that.
Cooks has looked a lot worse.
Yeah, definitely. Rashard Higgins, knee, he's expected to miss about 2 games with that.
ASJ, core muscle, he went to IR, eligible to return. That'll be Niles Paul in the meantime.
Gross. Tyler Croft, foot injury, no severity on that, but it does help Uzama if he misses any time.
Yeah, and you very well could.
Time for some waiver targets.
That was a lot shorter injury segment than we've been doing.
Waiver wire.
And away we go here.
And before the Ajayi and ASJ news is going to be even shorter.
Right.
Starting with quarterbacks, Baker Mayfield went over 300 yards against a good Baltimore defense, has some nice matchups coming up over the next couple weeks. He is a possible streaming candidate.
Jameis Winston, great matchups coming off his bye week. He's got the weapons. He'll be the starter coming out week 6.
All right. I'm assuming you added this one because it makes me want to vomit.
I did, and there's a reason for it, and it feels gross, but I think it's okay.
Case Keenum, he's a deep streamer here. He's got the Rams this week. We've given him 8 touchdowns over the last 3 weeks, and game script should be in his favor.
Yeah, and that's what you saw this week, which made him viable.
All right, running backs.
On to running backs. Wendell Smallwood, only back who's 100% healthy. He's looked the best the last few weeks out of him and Corey Clement.
And Corey Clement, likely the best remaining back, but he's already banged up, so I like him slightly less.
And Darren Sproles, it's just a thin backfield. Actually, if it's an Eagles running back, you can add it because Josh Adams is on here too.
Yep.
He could end up as a goal line back.
If you're in a deep enough league or maybe a dynasty league where Adams is available as a free agent, I would consider him as an ad right now.
He's built for between the tackles running.
Alfred Morris up next. Last man standing with Breida hurt for a few weeks. Kyle Juszczyk could also be in here in PPR deep leagues.
Well, maybe a few weeks.
Maybe a few weeks.
Could be. We'll see. Mike Davis, locked down 40% share of the backfield. Supplanting Penny. It is a 60-40 split.
Yep. Alfred Blue, in case Miller misses again, is worth an ad.
And Mike Gillislee, they're talking about bringing him in as a running back 3. If they do, he knows the offense. He'll see the field.
And they is the Patriots.
Yep.
For the wide receivers, Chris Godwin is still under 50%, so we're going to keep him on the list. Atlanta coming off the bye for them, so that should be a shootout.
Yep, D.D. Westbrook, he's been the most consistent wide receiver as far as productivity goes. Even with 5 targets, he still put up about 50 yards.
Robbie Anderson finally saw 5 targets in this game. He had multiple downfield opportunities, 2 of which he took for scores. Don't love him, but if you're in a situation where you need a boom-type player added to your roster, he's somebody to take a look at.
Yep, Taylor Gabriel for the Bears. He's their leader in target volume through 4 games. They also started using him downfield instead of dinking and dunking on screens, so the yardage should be there instead of 10 targets and 30 yards.
Mohamed Sanu is still seeing 80+% snaps on what should be a good offense. He is still out snapping Ridley.
Yep. Kiki Kuti, I also added this one. 6 for 51 and a touchdown this week. Productive for the 2nd straight week. He's looked really good since he came off an injury.
Tyler Lockett is chronically underrated. Already has 4 touchdowns on the year. And then kind of in a similar note, David Moore looks like he is the number 3 wide receiver in Seattle if you're looking that deep.
Yep. MVS, Marquez Valdez Scantling, Cobb, Allison Insurance here, basically. Either of them misses, MVS is a fine start.
All right, back to the Jaguars, where Dante Moncrief saw 15 targets in week 5. That's the type of volume that you have to put on your bench if you got the open spot for it.
Yep, and Josh Reynolds, if Kupp or Cooks miss week 6, he'll be the fill-in there.
All right. Moving to tight ends, Greg Olsen, he's likely back week 6, and he was dropping 30% of leagues. He is too talented to not be owned.
Cameron Brate, he should be a tight end 1 till OJ Howard's back. Winston does use his tight end, and Brate, with Howard not there, Howard hurt, or Howard not being used, is normally a back end tight end 1.
Niles Paul, he was the main guy once Austin Sferrin-Jenkins went down, and he saw 9 targets in his absence, so he is absolutely worth adding.
Nick Vannett, last man standing, gets about 5 to 7 targets a game. The tight ends there do, so that's worth the ad.
Ryan Griffin had a 75% target share among Houston tight ends this week. He may have finally won this job that people were clamoring for back in week 1, but it looks like it might be trending in that direction in an offense that is trending upward.
Yep, and CJ Uzama, another offense that uses a tight end. Croft's now hurt, so he could be the main guy, is the last one standing.
All right, a couple names for defense here. You got the Packers at the 49ers. 49ers are not a good offense with Bethard behind center. Lots of turnovers and sacks given up. You just want me to do all defenses? Okay. Texans versus the Bills. Bills' offense is still pretty inept at this point, so Texans can definitely be rolled out and started against them. And Seahawks at Oakland. Carr leads the league in interceptions with 8 and has taken 11 sacks so far. So even though I don't love the Seahawks, they are startable.
That was my bad.
That's all right.
I was busy queuing up the next drop.
Well, let's go ahead and roll into droppable players.
Weekly cuts.
And leading this list is the aforementioned Oakland Raiders quarterback. 28 touchdowns and 21 picks since returning from his broken leg at the start of 2017. He is not worth starting.
Ryan Tannehill has been off the last 2 weeks after a somewhat okay start, so he's droppable.
It was kind of a fluky start, too, and we're starting to find out that it was not based on what he was doing.
Right.
For running backs, Rashard Penny is firmly behind Carson Davis. As mentioned earlier, did not see a snap in this one.
Yeah, Corey Grant is to IR thanks to Anne Frank or Liz Frank or
whatever her name is. For wide receivers, Antonio Callaway's losing snaps and target share to Landry, Njoku, and Higgins. You may try to not drop him with Higgins hurt, but I would still probably try to look elsewhere. Chris
Hogan, he's fallen down to 4th or 5th option. He's been entirely disappointing this season.
Brandon Marshall's fallen behind David Moore and is no longer rosterable.
Nope. For tight ends, Austin Seferian-Jenkins, he's on IR. So no reason to hold
Antonio Gates. You got Antonio Gates. You got Virgil Green out playing him at this point, so I don't even want to own him.
And Tyler Kroft is hurt.
Yep, and he's not even the number 1 tight end there. For defenses, Broncos versus the Rams. Broncos defense is mediocre this year, and it's against a very good offense on the road. I want nothing to do with them there. Not worth holding.
Yep.
Bye weeks looking ahead. Next week, you got Lions and the Saints on bye, so quite a few good offensive weapons there, so get prepared. And then we start hitting for a week. Week 7, we got Packers, Raiders, Seahawks, and Steelers. In week 8, we get Chargers, Cowboys, Falcons, and Titans. So we got some players you got to start planning around. Start getting those bye week fill-ins ready. For the rest of the week, we're going to try to do our draft redo this week. We were not able to last week, but we'll try to get that done for you guys in our lounge episode.
You should be able to do it.
And our quote-unquote Friday episode, which will come out Thursday, but check out here on YouTube if you want to watch it on Friday anyway. Preview week 6 and let you know everything that's going on there. And then Sunday, we'll be live. That'll be our first Hopper remote episode where he'll be dialing in and we'll be going over live news and actives and questions.
So live episode, the best time to do that, to get rid of technical difficulties. Yeah.
All right.
I don't know that I had anything else to say there.
All right. Well, thank you so much for listening, guys. As always, follow us at BeerFieldFF on Twitter, Instagram, and Untapped. If you are listening to the podcast and you want to watch us live and be able to ask us questions on the air like some other users did, follow us at Beerfield Fantasy Football on YouTube and hit the subscribe button. Individually, Dan Thury had to take off for work. He is at ThuryBFF. We got Christopher Hopper.
At HotBFF, 2-piece.
And I'm at Nick Sparts. And we'll catch you guys next time on Beerfield Fantasy Football.
See ya.